Hello from me, Lazar Hristov. Welcome to the next lesson in the series, Creating a Website from Scratch. And we start naturally with presenting my third book. Here I have already made the cover. Master Techniques in CSS3 and Adaptive plus Responsive Design. Here below, I've put that this is a sequel to my book, Creating a Website from Scratch - Part 2, in the year 2026. This is the cover. And we've already started with it in previous posts. Let's see how far we've come. We've reached the second type of mockups, which is a column mockup or grid. In English, the term grid is used, which means both grid and table. It's a bit mixed there, grid, network, and it's unclear, generalized. But we need to distinguish them clearly, because they are different things and methods. A column layout divides the page into a set number of columns. Usually 12 are used, but it can be more, 16 or 24, or less, 8, 6, 4, and each element takes up a certain number of columns wide, and can easily be converted into wider or narrower. This division is done by pre-defining classes with the widths of each column. Here too there are two approaches: manually defining the classes and widths, or predefining grids in so-called CSS frameworks. Framework programs. We'll translate it, although it's not entirely accurate, as more complex programs. We won't be looking at these CSS frameworks now, because the idea here is to learn how things happen in CSS, basically, without using additional programs and tools. We do this because using such tools is a double-edged sword and we don't recommend it for beginners. Here's how to manually define 12-column and 8-column grids. Here you see 8.33 increases actually. Here is the visual representation of the column model. What does it represent? For each element a certain class is set. You've already seen it. And this is what we can say about it. Here, we will only partially mark up the last one, which is a grid package using CSS grid layout and flexbox. Here we actually have a complete grid, divided not only into columns but also into rows, that is, as a grid, or the so-called modular grid. This can be implemented with the CSS grid layout module and to some extent with CSS flexbox. They allow for easy rearrangement of elements and full control over the layout. So my advice is to simply learn how to work with these two modules and implement them in your projects. By the way, in the practical part of this book, in the next section, when we will convert our educational website into responsive, we use these approaches. We're not going to go into this topic theoretically, because it's too complex for you to imagine. So we'll cover it, as we said, in the second section of the book, where we'll convert our educational website to adaptive. That's all for this lesson. Best regards.